Hi, I'm Ash from DroningON, and what you've just seen there in that intro is from the lovely little BetaFPV X95V3. Quite a mouthful that, but it's quite a little drone considering its size. This is a tiny little ducted fan cinematic FPV quad. And basically this is flying true FPV. This has no assists, no pilot help. It's all pretty much down to your skill. And what makes this great is that it's really easy to fly indoors because of the ducted fan design, and also the little soft bumper bars on the surrounds of the ducts here means that flying it indoors, it will just bounce off walls. And if you're unfortunate to crash into a member of the family, it will bounce off them as well. Flying FPV requires a lot of patience and a lot of time. And when the weather's a little bit rubbish outside, it is great to have something like this that you can fly indoors. The quad itself costs upwards of $190, and that includes everything you need except for a transmitter and goggles. Now, if you consider what I'm flying it with here, this is called the FrSky x-lite, and that costs upwards of about $140. And you can use that with multiple quads, planes, helicopters, anything you want to fly. Then you're going to need a set of goggles. Well, I'm flying with the Fat Sharks here, and again, you can use these with other analog FPV quads as well. But do remember that this system that I'm flying here is analog. However, they do offer a HD digital version using CADX as well, where you'll need a slightly different goggle setup, but ultimately the costs are around the same. In total, with the quad, the goggles, and the controller, you're looking at around $600. Anyway, I know you guys are desperate to see how this thing flies, so let's jump straight into the indoors test, and then after that, we'll go outdoors. So I've got my goggles on here. This is analog, remember, so it's not going to be beautifully crisp like digital, but the camera's not bad quality for a little tiny little BetaFPV camera. I've got the goggles on my head, and I've got the controller down here as well. This is my FrSky x-lite, as I showed you earlier. Now, one thing with goggles is you just got to make sure that you got your eye adjustments correct. There we go. Right, so we're going to be in angle mode because it's indoors, and you wouldn't really want to fly in acro mode whenever you are flying indoors because you can break things. I'm going to arm my quad, and then let's take off. And we are airborne. Wow, this thing has got quite some power to it. Hell of a lot of poke. I can't wait to do a punch out with this. Punch out is where you basically give it max throttle and send it straight up into the air. This thing has got a lot of power, flying really nicely. Do some low, fast flying. There we go. I think I'd be inclined actually to adjust the throttle on this to add some exponential to it because it is so powerful. Really pokey. Okay, let's try and venture upstairs. Take it around here, and we'll go up. And woohoo! Oh, that'll be the ceiling. As I said, this thing has a lot of power. Now, the VTX, the video transmitter, is clearly not too bad because this is a brand new build house, and the ceilings, the walls are all solid concrete. And yet, as you can see, I'm flying from room to room around the house here, and despite that, the signal is actually pretty good. There's not a lot of breakup. There's my son's new bed. He's obsessed with Lightning McQueen and Thomas the Tank Engine. This signal's really good. Now, that number in the middle you can see, 99, that's what's called RSSI, and that's basically the radio signal connection between the quad and the transmitter. So you want to always keep an eye on that, make sure it's at a good volume. In fact, let's have a look in the mirror. Oh, there we are. Hey, I can't wait to take this thing outside. It flies so well. Let's see if we can get around the bathroom. Yep, there we go. Now, you'll also notice the volume top right. This is a 4-cell battery. That's the average voltage across all 4 cells. And you don't ever want to take that lower than 3 volts. It will generally start at around 4.2 volts. And you really don't want to take it too low because otherwise you'll break and damage your batteries, and you really don't want to, of course, do that. Right, let's go back downstairs before we crash. I think the best way to get down is probably down here. Whoa! Now, that's the advantage of flying indoors with a prop guard, like a little ducted quad like this, that if you do crash, you're not going to do any damage. Anyway, That's enough of the indoor test, I think, for now. So there you go, there's the indoor test, and this thing has a lot of power. Therefore, I can't wait to take it outside. Let's do that now. So it's a really nice calm day out here today, hardly any breeze, which is ideal for these very small, lightweight quads. However, it's not summer, it's kind of supposed to be spring, but the trees still have no leaves. And we call these things here the twigs of death, because when you fly an FPV, you don't normally see them until the last minute. But anyway, let's get this little thing up in the air and see how it flies. Okay, so you can now see the view from the camera now. The one thing to remember with this one is because it's got pusher props facing downwards, you must take off on a very flat surface, otherwise you're going to knacker your motors and props. But the camera's nice. The FOV is really, really perfect sweet spot for me on this. Really nice. You can see just enough of the peripheral vision. And also it's a CMOS camera, so as you can see, we don't get that horrible massive change in light as you sequence from the ground to the sky. Anyway, we're in angle mode at the moment. We are going to be switching through different modes on this, but we're going to start in angle mode and armed, and up we go. And we're airborne. So as I say, this is in angle mode, where basically you get quite a lot of stabilization. You can't actually roll the quad in this mode, so I'm going to flip it now to horizon mode, which we're in now, and as you see, I can actually roll it, yay, and loop. So let's do some more of that. Very nice. But as I say, you don't really have full control in this mode because it's still massively stabilizing a lot of the flight. So if I now switch to air mode, this is where we've got full control of the quad and we can really fly it properly now and really, really enjoy this quad properly. So let's take it away a bit, fly it around. It flies really, really nicely. The VTX is giving us some good signal here as well. Let's go around these trees a little bit. Very nice. As I say, you've got to look out for those twigs of death because they will kill a little quad like this. Getting a little bit of breakup, but not so bad. It's flying nicely though. I know that there's a little bit of a river or pond over here somewhere, so let's go and have a look at that. There it is. And you can see we're getting really, really good signal here. Really good signal. And considering it's an analog camera, look at the quality of this. It's really, really beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. As I mentioned before, always look at your battery voltage when you're flying an FPV quad. Let's get a bit of speed up here. Now, I've not tilted the camera up significantly. This is just kind of an average tilt, but oh, we hit a twig of death. And we're down. Now, this is the problem. Those twigs of death, you just don't see them through analog because you just don't really get the clarity that you do with digital. Let's go and retrieve the quad. Okay, so we're back now, recovered, and I do notice that from the voltage, you don't have a lot of flight time left, so we're going to just have to see how we get on. I've got another battery anyway, but so up we go. Yeah, these twigs of death are deadly, absolutely deadly. You can see our battery voltage is flashing now as well, unfortunately. So frustrating because this is such a nice quad to fly. Beautiful quad. And in air mode, it just feels lovely. You know, normally you get these quads and you have to do some tuning to make them fly nicely, but this one just flies nice straight out of the box, really, really nicely. But our battery is now low, so let's land it. We're going to strap another battery on. So that's flying without any high definition camera attached to this little drone, and that's just the FPV camera view that you've just seen recorded via the analog goggles. Now, this drone isn't really designed to carry a full GoPro or an Osmo Action or even an Osmo Pocket or anything like that because they're just too heavy for it. And they actually have their own camera from BetaFPV called the SMO 4K, which is actually made by Insta360, but I haven't got one of those at the moment. So what I'm going to do is strap an Osmo Pocket on there instead. It's going to be very heavy for this tiny little quad, but let's see what happens anyway and see what kind of effects we get from it. So you can see we've got a fully charged battery on there. You can actually, from the internal view, so the FPV camera view, see the camera on there, of course, but that's just inevitable. I don't know if this is going to work, but let's see. I'm not sure how I'm going to even launch this actually. Right, here we go. And we're airborne. Wonder what the image is looking like on that Osmo Pocket. It is actually flying with it. Now, bearing in mind, this thing weighs a hell of a lot, this Osmo Pocket. So I am very impressed that it's actually managing to fly with it. And remember, we've got mechanical stabilization as well from that Osmo Pocket. Now what I really don't want to do is crash it with the Osmo Pocket, because I love that camera a lot and I don't want to break it, but this is probably looking quite nice, I would imagine. Now I've got to keep an eye on my battery because it's going to drain the battery having that kind of weight. Let's pick up the speed a bit. Let's see if we can see the river. There it is. Look at that, beautiful. But look at our battery voltage. Here we are draining that battery rather quickly. And you can hear the little brushless quad screaming its face off. There we do a roll. I'm not sure if it will recover from it. Let's give it a try. Here we go. I expect that probably confused the Osmo Pocket quite a bit. Yeah, I think I can see the Osmo Pocket resetting itself actually. The range on this little thing is brilliant, considering it's, it's analog. This is a VTX running at 200 milliwatts. Now, yeah, our voltage is dropping down, so I'm actually going to bring this down. I think I can see that our Osmo Pocket is resetting itself. Yeah, it's actually reset itself now. It's probably stopped recording as well, sadly. But it didn't like the roll, and oh, that's the only problem with the Osmo Pocket. It doesn't really like to be flipped around like that. It's not designed to be flying, or it's not designed to be rotated whilst it's filming, but this is actually doing really well considering it's a heavy camera, this. Really heavy camera. And this VTX is beautiful. I mean, the signal's great. Let's see if we can fly along these tracks a bit lower. I don't know if our Osmo Pocket is still recording, sadly, but we'll soon find out. But either way, it looks nice of our analog view, that's for sure. Anyway, really impressed with this drone. Impressed that it can carry this kind of weight. And we've still got, we're still above 3 volts, so in theory we could actually still keep flying here. But I don't know if our Osmo Pocket's still recording, and yeah, I don't want to waste the recording. So let's land it. Really good, that was fun. So that wraps up my review of the BetaFPV X95 V3. It's a lovely little quad, powerful with tons of power thanks largely to the brushless motors and being powered by a 4S lithium polymer battery. The only downside of this quad is that it's not quite got enough power or size to carry a conventional camera such as an Osmo Pocket, an Osmo Action or a GoPro, certainly not without stripping them down and removing them down to their bare circuit boards. Now BetaFPV do have a solution for that, which is called their own SMO 4K camera, which they actually developed in collaboration with Insta360. Unfortunately, I don't have it at the moment because of supply chain issues, but that's the way to get cinematic video from this without sacrificing and adding a ton of weight to it. But besides that, it's a great quad. It's very durable. You can crash it multiple times and not do any damage to it. It's got a very short flight time, but that's not unusual for a quad that's carrying such a small battery. Links to this lovely little product are in the video description below. Comment on this video and tell me what you think about this and true FPV. Give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you don't know what FPV stands for. And of course, hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching.